Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to another Currencies Direct Sterling Euro podcast with me, Keith Spitzelnick. Today is Monday, the 27th of June. Sterling Euro, we're trading at 112.19, so we are quite a lot lower than we were this time last week. Now, the news has really been dominating the headlines for the last little while. At the moment, it's all talks really about Greece. We had the meeting of the EU leaders in Brussels last week, where the finance ministers discussed yet another bailout package for Greece and passed yet a further set of austerity measures. Now, what's interesting is Greek protesters are still on the streets protesting at the last set of austerity measures that were imposed. So it's going to be fairly interesting to see what happens in the coming weeks. Leaders will no doubt be discussing over the course of the next few weeks how to create some kind of an orderly restructuring of Greek debt, because let's be honest, any kind of unordered default that would immediately render all Greek banks insolvent, and it would also create massive uncertainty over any other banks that are holding any Greek debt. What's more worrying still, though, is it will certainly put the spotlight on Ireland, Portugal and of course on Spain, and increase the probability of their own default or their own restructuring, really. Now, all of this uncertainty is obviously feeding through and showing us massive euro volatility at the moment. UK wise, well, after comments last week from one of the governors of the Bank of England stating that there may be a need for further quantitative easing in the UK, all eyes were certainly on the Bank of England and their Bank of England minutes, which were out last week. Any fears that there may be more votes for more quantitative easing were quashed, though, as we saw a vote for 8-1 to keep quantitative easing at the current levels of 200 billion and not increase it further, for the moment at least. Sterling is kind of caught really in the crossfire at the moment between news that's coming out of the Eurozone and news that's coming out of the States. And for now, it's certainly the changing dynamics of both the Euro and the US dollar that's impacting any movement on Sterling, rather than a specific story emanating from the UK itself. Now, should UK growth deteriorate much further, which is a clear risk, especially at the moment, then we could see the market paying closer attention to what's actually happening in the UK, rather than dictating the way that the currency is going to go because of external factors. This would obviously be not a particularly good development for good old GBP. Now, with not much sterling data due this week, at least not until the latter half of the week, it will certainly be, as always, events from the Eurozone and again from the States that's going to dictate any sterling movement over the coming days. That's all from me for this week. Please have yourselves a fantastic week, and we'll be back here next Friday.